Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm back. And this time I have another author with me for this Author Talk short. We have David A. Bowles, who I have known for many years. I'm so grateful that he's going to join my crazy self in the 12 days of page turners. But David, tell everybody the genre you write in and how you kind of got started writing.
Well, I write what I call accurate historical fiction based on true events in history that happened. And it's about my family, story of my family coming to Texas in a 100-year journey to Texas.
Wow. I love that. So I know that it takes place at least in Texas, it starts in Austin. Would it be fair to say that your family was one of the first families in Austin, like the first Austinite?
Yes, they
That's
were.
how they
They
say
they
that.
got there actually before the town was named, and it was
Oh,
just a spot, and they were there to get involved in politics, and they did. Were too late to get involved in the Republic of Texas politics, but President Marabou Lamar asked my four great grandfather to be the first county judge of the new county that was being established out of Bastrop County, and that was Travis County. And he felt that he was too old, and he told Marabou Lamar that he was too old for the job to get out and do that survey and everything that needed to be done, but that his son was a lawyer and was in a lot better health and could handle the job better. And Lamar told him, so, well, I'll appoint him to be the county judge if you'll be the county treasurer. And if you just think about that in today's thing, the chief financial officer which would have been a state, the counties would have been a state, you understand, because Republic was its own sovereign nation, and a very large one that state actually had in their western border, went all the way up into the border of Wyoming, the 42nd parallel at that time. And it was a pretty big job, but the father took the job as the treasurer, watching over the money, what little they had. The Republic appropriated $5,000 for the establishment of the county, Travis County, at the time. But of course, $5,000 was a lot of money back then. But I don't think they ever got the money because the Republic of Texas didn't have the money. So the courthouse was his home. And the first courthouse wasn't built until about 30 years later. But the courthouse there on 6th Street in Austin, just 2 blocks off Congress Avenue, was where the log cabin was. And that was where Anson Jones, the last president of the Republic of Texas, was married, there on their front porch.
wow. I love it. And listen to you talk about that all day. And I would love to know what made you or gave you the drive to write your family's history and the story of your family coming to Texas. Was it something that you've always wanted to do, or were you just like, this would make a great book?
Amy, my family were storytellers.
Okay.
And they tell these stories, and I mean, some of them were hard to believe, Amy. But my great great grandfather was first county treasurer, and his oldest son, was what they call then the Supreme Court Justice of Travis County, and that now they call it that job as a county judge. All the 254 counties in Texas each have one, and that county judge runs that county, and it's a pretty big job, much more than a mayor or something, but because they are in charge of the whole county. I kept hearing those stories, and I thought, and then when I heard about this little 9-year-old boy, Fayette, captured on Shoal Creek, and I know you know the place, not 100 yards from Book People, the bookstore in Austin. Little boy was captured. He was wounded in the melee of trying to corner him. He was an arrow penetrated his father's arm, and he was hanging on the horse, and the arrow went through and hit him in his forehead, and he always had a scar on that. They mutilated his father in front of him, and they carried that boy off to ended up in Taos, New Mexico, to be sold up there. The Pueblo Indians were big into having auctions and auction these little white children off for slaves and whatever purpose they wanted for them. And it's pretty sad story to a point, but it all has a good ending.
Yeah.
But I heard the stories, and it was just hard to believe that this happened to my family. And then later in life, about 35 years ago, I started researching it, and I decided I want to join the Sons of the Republic of Texas, and that's a hereditary organization of people who their families helped found Texas, and that were here prior to February the 19th of 1846. Very important date, because that's the day Texas recognized that they no longer were a republic. They pulled the flag down and raised the American flag, which at that time only had 21 stars, but Texas was a 28 state. They were running a little slow on making flags at that time. But anyhow, and so all of that just seemed. But when I decided to join the Sons of the Republic of Texas, I had to prove all the stories up and put them in a book and a file and that sort of thing. And as I got into them, I really couldn't. I had a hard time because the family name was Smith.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, but once I got in and got the archives of the First County Records, Volume 1, mm-hmm. Travis County Records, the first 7 months of Travis County's existence was written at my grandfather, and I guess he'd be my grandfather, my 4 great grandfather, and my 4 great, I guess he would be uncle, because he was my 4 great grandmother was his sister, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And I was just amazed by what I found, and I had to make the records were that time we didn't have an archives in Austin. They had them just stored there in the courthouse. And I asked for the records, and they said, well, which ones? I said, I want them all. It couldn't be too many of them. Well, it ended up being a lot of them. And I spent several days going through that. And some of what I found were letters, and one of them even from Sam Houston, telling the story to his wife in a letter that he wrote home to her. He was in Austin representing the county he was from. And I read that letter. It really affects you when you realize that's your family, even though you're 4 generations away from it. And he detailed it. I found a document from the sheriff, the first sheriff that documented the murder of Judge James. That was a pretty big deal. If you can imagine, that'd be like the governor being killed by Indians. It was a pretty big deal. And then months later, don't want to tell too much about the story.
Right.
The little boy was captured, and both James was killed by Indians. 7 months later, the grandfather, we don't know what he was doing out, because he was outside the city, the safety of the city. If you want to call family of 75 people, 75 families, that's not, maybe about 75 homes and 10 or 12 federal buildings, he was killed by the Indians. And so both of them, they never filled out their term of office. They were killed. Both and 7 months apart from each other. So yeah, it was, some of it's tragic, but then some of it's pretty good because Fayett's story is just how this little. Do you have time for me to tell you a cute little story that happened on this story?
Of course.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I went to the New Mexico Writers Conference with that, and we had this fellow Stanton. He's a very prolific writer out of Florida and also a professor. He wanted, I took a course, and he wanted us to put the first 15 pages out there, and they would be judged. Well, in the judgment, mine won the best out of all of them. But then when he went to critique it, he says, David says, this is a wonderful story. You got a great story here. And he said, I can't wait to hear the next of it, rest. But he says, gosh, a story about a 9-year-old boy walking barefoot to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then on to Taos, New Mexico, in the dead of winter with his Achilles tendons cut so he can't run. That's just a little bit much. Maybe you could make this boy a little older or something and make the story. Now, he had no idea that the story was based on real factual of my family. And when I pulled out the information, including that letter written by Sam Houston, they were all shocked because they couldn't believe the story actually happened, that a little 9-year-old boy could survive that and then manage to get back to Texas.
Wow.
And grow up to build a home on Washington Avenue in Navasota, Texas, and live out his life there, normal life. He had to shuffle all his life. And then during the Civil War, poor boy got shot in the behind and shuffling away because, see, he could never run again. He could only shuffle. And it's quite a story. And the home is still there, Amy, and you ought to get by there and see it sometime. It's
I was going to say, I live in Navasota.
You need to go. It's kind of in bad repair right now.
I need to go and check that out. I love that. And I could listen to you tell, the story and the history of your family and how they came to Texas and the things that they endured, the sad parts of it, but there's also happy parts, like you mentioned. So I love that you decided to write it down, and you are joining me in my crazy self, David. That's how I've tagged myself for this 12 days of page turners. You're going to be on December 4th at 7 p.m. talking with me. We're going to talk a lot more about your books and how long you've been writing and everything like that. So without telling us exactly what holiday special you're going to be offering, can you give us some hints as to what we can expect to
Well,
hear?
I had pretty good luck last year of the bundle, and you'll find out what a bundle is on the 4th. And you can buy the books autographed, made out to whoever they want to give the books to. So there's no need for wrapping or anything else. You just stick a little sticky bow on that bundle, and you got your gift done. And I'll tell you, books are the greatest gift you can give to people that can read. And I really feel sorry for people that can't read. And we ought to do all we can to teach them. And I think authors ought to really be working towards literacy in this country right now. I'm amazed at how many people don't read or can't read. But I think a book is a best book if you know what someone likes, and if you like the genre that I write, they make a great book. If you don't like my genre, then there's millions of other good authors out there that they can do.
That's the cool thing about the 12 days, David, is you get all genres or different genres every night with different authors. So David will be on the 4th, and he is accurate historical fiction is how he likes to name it, along with other genres and other realms. And David, you're so right. The best gift that you can give anyone is a book, especially for the holiday season, for the reader in your life, or to empower others to start reading, because books are the greatest escape from reality and you go off to far off places. You learn so many things. Like from you, David, I've learned so much about Texas, and I grew up here. I love it. I am from San Antonio. That's currently where I'm at right now. And, I am a proud Texan through and through. And so I love your books. I've learned so much from it. And I just admire, the research that you did and going investigating and finding those letters, to your family and stuff. That stuff is so fascinating and so cool to me that I'm just like, man, I wonder what else is out there of your favorite like family, David. I'm so excited to see what happens.
Well, Amy, I feel the same way about you. And one thing we need to mention is that people can do all their Christmas shopping on your 12 days of Christmas and never have to go to a mall. And that, man, I wish that had that back 20, 30 years ago. I give books. That's all I give is books.
Yeah. It's the greatest thing. And the coolest thing is you can do it all from your chair. Like I know that everyone can shop online, on Amazon and all of this, but this way for the 12 days, you get to hear from the authors that have written these books, their passion, their love, their inspiration. You get to hear from the author, but the author behind the writer and why they wrote the books that they wrote and the genres and everything. And so to me, it's the coolest thing. And I love it. Every year that I've done this, I've met so many amazing and cool authors, different stories and inspiration behind them and the creativity. I feel like that goes into all of it, that it's the best, it's the most hectic. It is the most hectic 12 days of my life, but it is also the best and the most rewarding because I meet so many cool authors. Like this year, we have over 60 authors that are going to be featured. So it's, an 11-day span. So it's the coolest thing. And it's, genres for everyone. It's a one-stop destination. So I'm so excited, but I'm excited about December 4th. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't pick favorite dates. Okay. But I lean towards certain days, and December 4th, I'm not going to lie, right now to me has like the best lineup. Like every author on there that I have talked to about December 4th has some awesome books. So I truly cannot wait, David. You fit in so well with those other authors. It's going to be great.
I look forward to being with you.
It's going to be so much fun. So you guys remember the 12 days of page turners happen December 1st through the 11th. The 12th day, you're going to have all authors back talking about all their holiday promotions. Like David and I both said, the best gift that you can give anyone this holiday season is a book. Take them out of reality. Let them escape for a little bit. But we'll be back with more Author Talk Shorts of more authors tuning in to the 12 days of page turners later on today. Until then, bye, everybody.